Good day, everybody. So this past weekend was round 2 of the Cane Creek Cup. It was in Spartanburg, South Carolina, at none other than the infamous Stumpjump. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel, though. You guys have been great. If you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, click the bell. But this was a race. We had a decent field going into this one. Last year, I won this race. It was rather muddy, different circumstances. This year, life events have happened, stuff has changed, and it was a great race. But I haven't suffered this bad in a race in a while. It was very refreshing. Let's just get to the event. It's only like an hour and 15 away, and let's go. Today's game plan, I wanted to be first in the woods, but I wanted to slow the pace down a little bit. I didn't want to blow up, but I figured if I was first in the woods, because getting a hole shot, for some reason I can do that relatively easily, that means everyone has to come around me.
5 seconds. On your mark, get set, go. Good job.
So in that respect, I did get the hole shot. This first section of trail, I rather enjoy quite a bit. So I did just ride at a decent pace this first little bit of lap here. And when I mean slow it down, I wasn't going full tilt. I wasn't just going 11 the entire time. Like I was riding at a fast, decent pace, but this was by no means like third lap, you know, as hard as you can go. So about a mile into the race, this guy passes and he's up the road. I didn't really want to chase him down just yet, so I was just keeping it at a steady pace because there is 3 laps of this. But at this point, and I didn't really know it until later on, he's up the road. It is me, Matt, and Greg, and then that was it. There was a gap of maybe 10 to 15 seconds or so, I think, somewhere around there, to the rest of the pack. So we had a little gap, and I didn't know that. So I was keeping it steady, keeping it steady. And then my downfall happened.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
So I thought it was awesome. Matt actually asked if I was okay. Adrenaline was high at this point. I definitely felt okay. Handlebars twisted around over my top tube, so I had to really slam them to get them back around. Scratched up my top tube. I was a little peeved about that. That ground hurt way more than I thought it did. I think my knee must have landed on a rock, but after reviewing the footage, I basically cut the corner too hard, and I think I just hit the edge of the trail where the leaves are, and that's what sent me over. Adrenaline's high at this point. The chase group catches me. Luckily, I had that gap to where by the time I got back on my bike, the chase group was just catching me. That was my only saving grace. So I started to lead. I led for the rest of the first lap on the front of the chase group. And honestly, everyone, I have a very hard time giving excuses because I've always been the one, don't make excuses, just race your bike or do your workout, whatever, no excuses. So I'm going to do my best to just tell you what I was going through, what I was feeling for the rest of these laps. But I by no means have no excuse for not winning in that respect. You know, everyone that beat me because they were better than me on this day. But at the end of the day, we all have something that goes wrong in a race that's a 2-hour race. So I'm just gonna go through what I did, what I tried to overcome. So whenever we were coming through the start finish, this is going to be leading into lap 2. I figured someone would come around. I was kind of banking on it. Will has very good legs, and he came around me, and I was like, all right, good. This is perfect. This is going straight according to plan. I jumped on Will's wheel, and I figured when the pavement hits, I'm gonna come around him, get back in the lead for lap 2. Yeah, unbeknownst to me, he was thinking the same thing, and he picked up the pace quite a bit on the pavement. I did not have enough time to come around him, so I'm stuck going into the woods second in this chase group. I tend to do a little bit better on the descent, and this is where the Sufferfest truly begins for me. This was, after watching this footage, it is hilarious what this race did to me. So basically, I really enjoy the first section of this trail. I put in a couple half-hearted digs to come around Will. So this is where it gets interesting. This is the first climb on the second lap, and Will is just pouring it on these climbs, man. He is just cranking those screws. He is turning it up to 11 every time we hit a climb. This climb was long enough. I started to see the rubber band stretch. It was stretching, it hurt so bad. My legs were burning relatively bad, but I didn't really feel my crash yet. So before the top of the climb, I started to ease over on the right. I don't like holding anyone up. This is, you know, not the world champs or anything, so I was trying to give people enough room to pass on my left here.
Go for it, buddy. Keep it up.
But once we got up and over the top, I figured just let it go. Let the brakes fly, don't blow up, get some big deep breaths in. And I will try to just use my handling skills to catch back up to these guys. Which I inevitably did. I caught right back up just in time for the second climb. Oh my gosh. So this second climb saved me a little bit because it's more of a technical climb. So Will just couldn't sit on the front and drag race it to the top. Now, did I get dropped on this climb? Yes, I did. It was not as bad as the first climb. So, same scenario. Get over the top, let the brakes fly, just hammer down, try and catch up, just claw my way back on. This is like climbing out of a hole that's 10 feet deep, and the lip of the hole is made out of mud, and you're just grasping and grasping. So I made it back on, and at this point my legs were starting to come around. I felt good. The shorter punchy climbs I lost no ground on. So I was feeling good. I was like, all right, maybe I'm okay. Who knows, maybe I can fight for the win. And And then this is where stuff really started to go downhill for me. This climb, I swear, it's like a 2%, 3% grade. It is not that steep, but it is long and it is a drag race. This is where the temperature got turned up quite a bit. And my knee, literally I could feel my heartbeat in my knee. So it was no longer in my throat, it was in my knee. I let some dudes come around me. Didn't want to hold anyone up. I knew the elastic was stretching quite a bit, but I don't ever give up. You never know what's going to happen. Everyone is hurting just as bad as you are. They might be going faster, but everyone's hurting in a race like this. You're going full tilt the entire time. But my knee started throbbing quite heavily. I could start to feel my shoulder. Like, this is where I think the adrenaline finally wore off of having a fight with the ground, and I started to feel everything. What hurt just as bad as my knee, though, as you guys know, I was fighting some back problems the previous year, my lower left back, and I guess it is still like somewhat fragile. It started to twinge a little bit. It started hurting pretty bad because of that crash. This part of the course here is so freaking fast, I let the brakes go. I'm like, I'm gonna catch them. This is the most important event in my entire life. I'm going to catch them or die trying. And yet again, I caught her right back up just in time for the next climb.
You around, buddy? Yeah, man. Go for it, dude. Crush it. Somehow I keep catching back up.
Some of these dudes I had never raced before, but everyone's so nice. I really enjoy racing people that are encouraging to everyone. There was a really great sticker that I saw one time that has always stuck in my mind that said, "Great cyclists help new cyclists become great cyclists that help new cyclists." That's almost like a mantra that I live by, and I love that. I love anybody that's encouraging, even if they're like destroying me physically. So this part of the course is uphill for the most part. I started to settle back in. My lower left back was starting to hurt. Greg had a mechanical. But the group is just right there. It's like a carrot. They're just teasing me. So Greg got back on my wheel, and I figured, you know, there's only going to be so many times I can catch back up before, you know, I start to shut down. And this was getting close to the end of the lap. I did not want to hold Greg up. I figured I could catch them through this section here. I let it go. I caught back up somehow. This has got to be like time number 7 now that I've gotten dropped and clawed my way back on. Yeah, so I was hurting at this point. There's enough room to let Greg by here. He came by, and then so this puts me at the back of the pack. There's one little kicker right before the start finish. That's where I lost contact with this group. But they're still right there. So this is heading into the third and the final lap. So my first 2 laps, I think, were like around a 38-minute mark. This last lap, I kind of blew all over the place. I think my lap time was a 41, which is terrible. The only excuses I have, my body was hurting pretty bad from that crash at this point. My right side, I could feel it. But I think in the, you know, the whole like I don't know, brain confusion of crap, I crashed. My bike's not shifting right. My brakes aren't working 100%. Clawing my way back on. Like, I forgot to eat anything. So I took no goose this entire time. I only drank out of my water bottle twice in a 2-hour race. That is not good, guys. But one thing that'll help you tremendously is dialing in your nutrition on and off the bike. And I did terrible. So this last lap, I started to bonk a little bit on the climbs. I do pretty good like preloading with nutrition. So I never completely bonked. I didn't just like start pedaling squares. But you could tell on some of the climbs, man, I was dying. At the end of the day, I think I ended up 7th, which isn't 100% terrible. Will actually got 6th, even though he, destroyed me. We only finished 1 spot apart from each other. I think Nathan finished ahead of him. So right now, that's probably gonna be your top 3 overall in the series. I'm not really sure how the numbers are gonna work out. It's only the first 2 races. You have to do 8 out of the 13 to be considered in the overall. I plan on doing that. Man, I had a ton of fun getting to race some really strong guys, really fast guys. But, you live and you learn. I still had a blast. I love racing my bike, especially with a good group of dudes. There you have it, guys. This is Tuesday that I'm recording this on, so a couple days after the race. I do have some little boo-boos. My knee, I don't know if you can see this if I back up. You probably can't, but compared to my other knee, it is swollen. I have been icing it. I've been doing like the ice and the heat. I've been trying to get it to go down, but it aches, it hurts. My lower left back also hurts a little bit. Like, I got beat up a little bit more than I thought I did from that little bitty fall. I wish it looked more spectacular than it does. No excuses though. I'm gonna be at the race this weekend unless something unforeseen happens, like a flat tire in my truck on the way there. But this weekend will be the last race that I do for probably a month or so. I'm not gonna be able to do the, more than likely not gonna be able to do the Virginia race or the Columbia race afterwards. But I will see everyone eventually. I've got a lot of videos that I'm trying to work on. And thank you all for sticking with me. I love you all. Bye-bye.